souls are mine!
Hello and welcome to Theme Park History, the channel for everything to do with theme parks. Old and new, big and small. In today's episode, we excavate the legend of Universal Studios' Revenge of the Mummy, a dark ride roller coaster that opened at Universal Studios Florida on May 21st, 2004, Universal Studios Hollywood on June 25th, 2004, and Universal Studios Singapore on March 18th, 2010. This attraction was suggested by all these warriors of the Magi, so thank you to everyone for your comments. As always, if there's an attraction you would like us to cover in future videos, leave a comment down below. You never know, your suggestion might be next month's video. Inspired by the hit 1999 film The Mummy and its 2001 sequel The Mummy Returns, Revenge of the Mummy is the first ever roller coaster at both the Florida and Hollywood parks. Billed by Universal as a psychological roller coaster that taps into riders' fears, the attraction is considered to be one of the most exciting rides at each park, combining animatronics, motion picture technology, and a state-of-the-art ride system. Revenge of the Mummy preys upon many common human phobias: the fear of the dark, insects, speed, heights, and most importantly, the fear of the unknown, to become the world's first psychological thrill ride. By the mid-90s, Universal Studios Florida had established itself as a must-visit theme park destination after rebounding from its rough first year. While the park was a success with its movie-based attractions, one thing became clear: Universal was still second to Walt Disney World. While the park was packed with amazing attractions that matched Disney's innovation pound for pound, Universal Studios Florida could not compete with the happiest place on earth just down the road. Determined to change this, Universal started working on two major projects. The first was expanding from a standalone theme park into a Universal Orlando resort with the addition of its second gate, Islands of Adventure. While I would love to talk about the history of their second park right now, I feel it's better suited for another time when we visit the park to cover some of the attractions you have suggested. The second project was to update the lineup of attractions at Universal Studios Florida. Most of the major attractions at the time had been inspired by stops on the studio tour at Universal's original theme park, Universal Studios Hollywood. By the early 2000s, it became clear that the original attractions were not drawing people to the park, as younger guests and families had a lack of interest in the rides that were inspired by Universal films from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Universal's plan was simple: if the park was going to compete with Disney, Universal Studios Florida would have to get rid of its original attractions and replace them with whatever was popular on the silver screen at the time. Universal was willing to close their classics if it was necessary, as long as it transformed Universal Studios Florida into the must-see destination featuring the hottest films of today. The first step in Universal's ambitious new approach to the park would take place on September 8, 2002, when Confrontation would close to make room for a brand new attraction based off the Mummy franchise. No, not that one. That's the right one. A loose remake of the 1932 film of the same name. The Mummy stars Brendan Fraser as treasure hunter Rick O'Connell and Rachel Weisz as archaeologist Evie Carnahan. In the film, the two travel to Hamunaptra, the city of the dead. There, they accidentally awaken Imhotep, a high priest from the reign of the pharaoh Seti, who has been cursed for eternity. The film would open on May 7, 1999, and was a surprise box office hit, grossing $416 million worldwide. The film's success led to a sequel, The Mummy Returns, which was released on May 4, 2001, and was also a box office success, grossing over $446 million worldwide, with both films combining for a box office gross close to $1 billion, and a spin-off film, The Scorpion King, set to be released sometime in 2002. It was obvious to Universal they had found their next franchise to introduce to the parks as part of its new approach. Stephen Sommers, director of the first two movies, and Universal Creative, led by John Murdy, collaborated together on the ride's development. The ride was intentionally designed to be more intense than many of the other existing attractions. Billed as the world's first psychological thrill ride, the attraction would be a cross between a dark ride and roller coaster, with scenes focusing on certain phobias. Premier Rides was brought in to create the roller coaster portion for the ride, with dynamic attractions being brought in to help with the track sections that would turn turn, rotate, and realign the vehicles. Track pieces from Confrontation were built into the building during its construction, with parts of the track still remaining in the building to this day. In order to compensate for space, part of the building was excavated several feet deep for the ride's climactic drop. The attraction would feature 16 passenger vehicles, each consisting of 2 sections that would be closely coupled together to resemble a single car for the dark ride section. When the ride would turn into a roller coaster midway, they would separate slightly. Linear induction motors would propel the vehicles around the dark ride portion of the attraction, enabling different speeds and even in one scene, reversing. Using the LIM as a launch, the vehicles would reach a top speed of 45 miles per hour in 1.5 seconds. The track, a tubular steel design, would be filled with sand to reduce noise as the vehicles moved around it. The animatronic Imhotep at the beginning of the attraction stands at 6 feet 8 inches tall and weighs 680 pounds. Inside is 1,000 feet of hydraulic tubing, enabling the figure to perform more than 80 different motions. Although it was capable of very human-like movement, it was intentionally adjusted not to be too lifelike so that guests would not mistake it for a human actor in a suit. The fire effect, known as brain fire, was a concept taken from the Backdraft attraction at Universal Studios Hollywood. The effect, which is achieved by using real flames fueled by natural gas, would be close to 3,200 degrees Fahrenheit at the ceiling level and 107 degrees at the rider level. With a price tag of $40 million, Revenge of the Mummy would officially open at Universal Studios Florida on May 21, 2004. Florida wouldn't be the only park to get the new attraction, as in May 2003, it was announced that Universal Studios Hollywood would also be receiving their own version of Revenge of the Mummy. The park, which was in the process of its own multi-year project to transition over from a working movie studio to a more traditional theme park, would place the new attraction in its largest pre-existing ride building, the E.T. Adventure. The E.T. Adventure would officially close on March 14, 2003, and construction would take place over the next 16 months. Redesigned for the much smaller building, the Hollywood version features some major differences when compared to Florida, which includes a different story for the attraction, a different track layout, and a different finale. At a price tag of also $40 million, Revenge of the Mummy would officially open at Universal Studios Hollywood on June 25, 2004. For the Singapore version of the attraction, Universal Creative decided to copy Florida's version of the ride, though it improves on the original with new scenes and special effects, an improved Imhotep animatronic, and a tweaked story to account for the change of setting. Another difference is the attraction is set in its own area of the park. In Florida, the attraction is located in the New York section of the park, behind the facade of a museum of antiquities. In Hollywood, little effort was made to disguise the show building. In Singapore, the attraction is set inside the ancient tomb of Imhotep, where the attraction is complemented by giant toppled statues and scattered temples to fit the theme of ancient Egypt. At a price tag of $20 million, Revenge of the Mummy would officially open at Universal Studios Singapore on March 18, 2010. Located in the New York section of the park, guests enter the attraction by entering the massive Museum of Antiquities facade, browsing through the film setup of a fictional sequel titled Revenge of the Mummy. Monitors around the studio play a video explaining how the original Mummy film was made, and how the film's fictional curse seemingly was proven to be real while filming, with various accidents and plagues striking the cast and crew. Brendan Fraser is skeptical of the curse, and refuses to wear the Magi symbol that the crew is convinced will protect them from it. Craft Services refuses to serve Brendan a coffee without the Magi symbol.
Ooh, no Magi, no service.
Sorry?
No Magi, no service.
Prompting him to steal one from a crew member, Reggie. Reggie injures himself in a freak accident and becomes trapped inside a sarcophagus prop at the end of the video. The queue then morphs into a 1940s archaeological dig inside an Egyptian tomb, where guests climb to the second floor to board mine cars. As the ride begins, the mine cars move into the first scene inside Imhotep's tomb, where Reggie, the missing crew member, is seen partially mummified and warns the riders, "Are you insane? Get out of here. The curse is real. This whole place is a trap. He is after your souls. Look for the Magi symbol. It's your only hope." Before Reggie can finish his sentence, Imhotep comes out of a sarcophagus, shouts silence, and sucks out Reggie's soul. Imhotep threatens the riders. With your souls, I shall rule for all eternity. The cars then move into the second scene where there is gold treasure on the left and right sides of the car. Imhotep appears from the sand in front of a tomb mural and tempts the riders. Serve me and savor riches beyond measure, or refuse and savor a more bitter treasure. Soldier mummies appear in front of the treasure. The cart then quickly moves into another scene where the mine car hits a wall, and scarab beetles come pouring out of the wall in front of the riders. The car then quickly drops backwards into another scene where it stops. Imhotep appears again on a screen above the riders, moving across the screen to the back of the room, where the ride vehicle turns to follow him. Imhotep warns, not even the Magi can save you now. There is no escape. Your end shall be my beginning. Behold your fate. Will this be your destiny? The ride then launches guests upwards to 40 miles per hour while Imhotep shouts,
Your souls are mine!
The mine car passes through Imhotep's skull and drops through various turns, while speeding past projections of mummies and flames. The cart comes to a stop to an unload station, where a female ride attendant appears behind a glass control booth and thanks them for riding. But Imhotep sucks out her soul, breaks the glass, and sets the ceiling on fire while shouting, Prepare to forfeit your souls. Death is only the beginning. The car then drops down 39 feet, the highest drop in the ride, and goes down a winding drop until a Magi symbol appears, while Imhotep shouts no, as the vehicle passes through the Magi symbol. The passengers travel through a tunnel of flickering lights with a screen in front of them. Brendan Fraser appears and tells the riders,
Hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I would have enjoyed this interview a lot more if I had gotten a cup of coffee!
Suddenly, a cape passes over the screen and Imhotep offers Fraser a cup of coffee. As Fraser screams and falls back into his chair, the screen fades to black, while riders hear Imhotep's roar over Fraser's screams. Riders then exit through an actual unload station and into the Sahara Traders gift shop, where merchandise from the ride and movies are sold. While still the same in concept, the Hollywood version of the attraction has many differences in both the story and ride layout. Located in the lower lot of the park, the attraction removes all references of it being a fictional sequel. Instead, the attraction is set in an archaeological dig set in 1944. Throughout the queue, the backstory of Imhotep is explained. The queue ends in an Egyptian-themed loading platform where the guests board mine cars. As the ride begins, the car enters a dark tomb where a mummy comes to life and hisses at riders. Above the riders, Warden Gad Hassan, the prison archaeologist from the first film, warns guests, run for your lives, the curse is real, Imhotep lives, before he is devoured by scarab beetles. The mine car continues through a dark chamber where mummies stretch their arms out from each side of the car and from the ceiling, trying to grab the riders. The mine car continues into a treasure room filled with large amounts of treasure and two statues of Anubis next to a projector screen. Imhotep appears and tells guests, serve me and savor the riches of eternal life. The mine car makes a sharp turn as the room quickly turns dark, and Imhotep continues his monologue and join us in eternal death. The mine car moves into the grand gallery as an animatronic Imhotep continues to speak a curse in Egyptian language before exclaiming, now your souls belong to me forever. Riders are then launched at a high speed into darkness, going around high bank turns and small drops. Various images of mummy warriors and Imhotep appear as the car twists and turns. The mine car makes a sharp uphill movement and veers left, while the mine car viciously breaks into a corner. Scarab beetles appear on the walls, with the added special effect of air jets at riders' feet, creating the illusion of the mine car being overrun by the bugs. The car moves backwards into the underworld as Imhotep's evil laugh roars. The ride makes a few more twists and turns, while more images of Imhotep and the mummy warriors appear as it continues backwards, and Imhotep tells riders, there's no place to hide, your souls are mine. The mine car suddenly slows down under the image of Imhotep's outstretched grasp and moves slowly into the finale. A turntable turns riders into a forward-facing position as fog and strobe lighting fill the dark room. As the car faces forward once again, Imhotep appears and screams no at riders before vanishing. There is a moment of uncertainty before a light hits riders, and a wall lifts up into the ceiling to allow the car to pass through, signifying Imhotep's curse has been broken. Riders reach the unload station and exit the attraction. For the Singapore version, the roller coaster layout is nearly identical to the one in Florida, with a few minor changes. Just like Hollywood, the attraction drops the theme of being on a set of a fictional sequel and is set inside the tomb of Imhotep. The story focuses on guests finding the Book of the Living, which will kill Imhotep and send him back to the afterworld. The fake unloading scene is replaced with a scene where guests find the Book of the Living, and the finale is replaced with a sarcophagus hanging from the ceiling with Imhotep trapped inside, who warns the riders that he can never be defeated, and that
Death is only the beginning!
The attraction became a major hit with guests at each of the parks. Leading up to the grand opening of the Florida and Hollywood versions, Universal ran a nationwide marketing campaign to promote the attraction. The campaign would go on to help drive a 15% increase in attendance levels at the parks. The first ever psychological thrill ride combines some of the best special effects, animatronics, and thrills, and is constantly in the discussion as one of the best attractions Universal has ever created. Since the attraction's opening in 2004 at Florida and Hollywood, Revenge of the Mummy has been thrilling guests, having them come face to face with the 3,000-year-old face of evil. While the psychological thrill ride is still a popular attraction after 14 years, fans have begun to wonder how much longer it might have. As previously mentioned, Universal's aggressive approach to replacing its older attractions with newer, much more popular franchises started with the Revenge of the Mummy. Over the last few years, there have been rumors on the attraction closing down for whatever the popular movie franchise was at the time. While the rumors have always been shut down, it wasn't until 2017 that one rumor had some plausibility to it. Universal was considering a refurbishment of the attraction to update it for the release of their big blockbuster summer film, The Mummy, which is a reboot of the franchise. Rumors were that the attraction's story would be updated to fit in with the new movie, including new footage with the cast, new special effects, and new animatronics while keeping the ride layout the same. The movie, however, which stars Tom Cruise, was a critical disaster and a box office flop, making less than half of what the 1999 film did. Because of the film's lackluster performance, it seems any plans to change the attraction have been put on hold for now. However, this doesn't mean somewhere down the line Revenge of the Mummy will meet its fate and join other classic Universal attractions in the underworld. Revenge of the Mummy is one of the most ambitious and intense attractions Universal has ever built. Combining the elements of a roller coaster and dark ride, the attraction is considered by many to be one of the most exciting rides at the park. Unlike many of the other attractions that have replaced classics at Universal Studios Florida, Revenge of the Mummy is a worthy successor to Confrontation. With its combination of theming, animatronics, special effects, and a state-of-the-art ride system, Revenge of the Mummy is an experience not to miss for anyone who is a fan of thrills and adventure. So that is the theme park history of Revenge of the Mummy. As always, thank you for watching the video and supporting the channel. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if there's any attraction you want us to cover in future videos, leave a comment down below. Once again, thank you for watching, and until next time, I would have enjoyed making this video a lot better if I had my cup of coffee. Where's my cup of coffee? How hard is it to get a cup of coffee around here? But you know what? It's okay. I'll get it myself. I'll just get it myself. That's it. Don't worry.
Does this mean anything to you?
I think you're fantastic, but no Magi, no service.
I don't get...
I'm a big fan.
What is this?
Fresh out the oven.
Of all the people...